Hello and welcome to Level Up and Friends, where those of us from the video game and comic book store Level Up Entertainment get together some friends and we discuss topics we're passionate about. This week we're talking about the Nintendo Gamecube. I'm your host, Scott, and joining me this week is Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan. You can find me online as Moglin, Moaglin. I'm Moglin on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, yada yada, or you can just lurk on Level Up's page and you'll find me on there somewhere.
Yes, lots of instances of you.
Always in costume, but you'll find me.
Also joining us, we've got Katie.
Hi, my name's Katie, a longtime friend of the store. You could usually find me online at twitch.tv/Tronbon. That's TR0NB0NNE. Or at twitch.tv/PoorlyPlayGames. I usually just like playing a bunch of dumb video games, usually bootlegs or the weird stuff out there. And I like doing it with my friends.
So I've definitely seen you play some GameCube games, which I'm sure you're going to bring up later in this episode. But
oh yeah.
Finally joining us, as usual, is Kendall. You might be on the show the most besides me. It's between you and Harry. I haven't done the most. Yeah.
All right. Maybe that means I need to take a break. I don't know. Hi everybody. I'm Kendall. Don't follow me online, please. I don't post anything, but you can find me and my wife do a magical girl comic called Star Savior Bunny. You can find that on Instagram, and we got stuff at the store all day. Go in there, buy some comics.
Say, literally, we just, as of this recording a day ago, got some very special Miyazaki inspired Christmas cards available for purchase. One with, was it Cat Bus in front of like a hearth, and one with Kiki doing like a Christmas delivery in front of like a full moon. They're very cute.
Go check them out. You know, those are only relevant for a little bit. Please go get them.
Yeah, I've already had people buy some of them, so you know, the limited.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I have to errand to run.
Gotta make a quick go.
Yeah. But today we're going to discuss the GameCube, Nintendo's fourth home console. The follow-up to the N64 and the precursor to the Wii. I guess it would be a little bit of that. I don't know if I would call that an awkward stage. I'd call that like more the N64, PlayStation 1 era, an awkward stage in gaming. This is when I think 3D games kind of came into their own. But GameCube's got a very special place in my heart, as I'm sure it does the rest of you here. It was the first and I think only console at this point where I actually waited in line for it, like before the store opened to go get it.
Oh, wow.
I waited with Best Buy, and they had a deal where you could get like it and 3 launch games for a special price. I picked Luigi's Mansion, Rogue Squadron, and NHL Hits 2002.
Some solid picks.
Were really good. I forget what other launch titles were. I think there was Super Monkey Ball and like some other stuff. Maybe Madden. But those were the games I was interested in. So that's what I got. And then I know Kendall and I specifically, because it came out when we were in high school, we played a lot of it in high school. But yeah, so what's
too much, maybe?
Yeah, I would argue. Well, I'd argue maybe not enough at this point.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, what's some of your guys' like experiences with the GameCube when it was not relevant, because it's still relevant today because people still but when it was contemporary, I should say.
Well, I know it was me and my sister. It was our first console that we bought with our allowance money. We went on it together and got I think it was Luigi's Mansion and Super Monkey Ball. I think it was actually. It might have been part of that deal that you were talking about.
Okay.
But yeah, I just remember Monkey Ball specifically because that was the one that me and my sister played the most together. But I was like the Nintendo nerd of the household, so Luigi's Mansion was definitely like my first experience. But I loved it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Still one of my favorite games.
Luigi's Mansion 1 holds up.
Yes.
How about you, Morgan?
So the GameCube was the very first console that I kind of saw and was like, I want that. I was in elementary school at the time.
Yeah.
So I went from playing an NES with my parents and everything, and my friends had, you know, the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo 64, but I played enough with them that I was like, I don't really, you know, whatever. I like the games. And then I remember seeing the GameCube and like looking at my mom and dad and be like, that's what I want for Christmas. I was like, I'd like that, please. And my dad was kind of like, okay, well, I guess it is about time, you know, we go from the NES to something a little bit better. So I got that and Super Mario Sunshine. And I think I was gifted Luigi's Mansion as well. And a couple other games. None that come to mind, but I was like over the moon excited because I was like, and I didn't realize how much I was going to love this console. It was mainly seeing like the games. I was like, I want to play that so bad, but I need this system. Mom and Dad, can you help me out here? So that was my jump into some better consoles. And then I've just loved it and I play it pretty consistently ever since. So.
And how about you, Kendall?
So for GameCube, I think it was like when I started becoming aware of like console launches, like paying attention to that. Like I remember PS2 came out, I think maybe a little bit earlier, and that was like a huge deal. Or maybe it was the year, no, definitely the year before, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I was very aware that like GameCube was coming out, and I remember there was Mario 128 was like a rumored game. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. Oh my gosh.
And it was like, oh, it's going to be the next Mario 64.
I think it was even in Nintendo Power. I remember there being an article about it.
Yeah, I remember there being like a screenshot from something.
There was a tech demo. It was like a video of like 128 Marios, just showing that the game can render all of that.
That's what it was.
But people, because it's 128 and that's double of 64, people thought that was.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Wow. I almost forgot all about that.
But yeah, I didn't end up getting it until Christmas. Me and Scott had a mutual friend, Kevin, and he got it right at launch. And I remember I was like excited to go to his house and play it, specifically Luigi's Mansion. But he beat Luigi's Mansion the first day it was available.
Yeah.
And then
that sounds like Kevin.
He went to this local video game store at the time called Funko Land and traded it in. He was the first person to trade in a GameCube game the day after launch. So I didn't get to play Luigi's Mansion until Christmas. I remember being bummed about that. But yeah, love it. It was a fun system.
Yeah, and I think one of its biggest strengths, and it had this, the N64 had this as well with the built-in 4-player multiplayer. But I think, I don't know, something about the GameCube really, like I mentioned at the top of the show, Kendall and I, you know, we were friends in high school, so us and a bunch of our friends would play it all the time, but there's so many games that were great on it. And we'll get into some of them more specifically when we talk about some of our favorite games, but like, you know, Smash Brothers, how many Mario parties were on there? Like 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
There was multiplayer Zelda games. There was like, there was Rogue Squadron and Star Fox and like tons of great stuff that was on there. Freaking Mario Kart Double Dash might be the best Mario Kart game, you know?
Oh, yeah, by far.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. Kendall, were you there that one birthday party when we ended up staying up all night and just beat the whole game at our friend's house?
Double Dash?
Yeah, that might not have been you.
I think I went home.
Yeah, you might have gone home earlier. Yeah, because I think you were the only one that was like didn't stay up the whole night and unlocked everything.
Yeah, I forget what. I didn't like live as close to everyone as you know. I lived in the woods far away, so I was like, I'll go home.
Yeah, it would take you a bit of time to get home, but you know, that was also when we were old enough to be like driving and things, so we had a little bit more agency in getting together and playing with friends for this stuff.
Yeah, we would even play real Double Dash in our cars and switch drivers while going down the whiteboard slide.
Yeah, the
throwing
police,
stuff off of the back of your car.
the police did not appreciate that, especially when we're throwing turtles at people.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I just remember, oh God, that's probably the console I played just the most hours in general on. Because again, that's when, it came out when we were teenagers. So that's when I had more, I don't want to say free time, but like, I was working and going to, school and stuff, but my time was more dedicated by what I wanted to do rather than what my parents were kind of dragging me around to,
Exactly.
Yeah. But again, that makes it sound much older than you, especially Morgan, talking about getting it in elementary school.
I'm just sitting here I remember asking my mom if I could go play it at people's houses.
Yeah.
No, we have I have a close friend group since kindergarten, and we still have a running joke. My parents used to hold these poker nights with the neighborhood, and all the kids would just sit in basements at various houses and play these. It was Double Dash was one. We Rayman Arena was another one, and we still have a ongoing feud about Mario Baseball. I have two friends who swore they had the best teams. One was losing and turned the game off, and we have not played it since. And every year around Christmas, we kind of nudge them to play it again, and they swear they're not going to play it because the other person cheated. So it's yeah.
Some life.
So I also love the multiplayer games for that. They're great.
It's that's one of those moments that you can just bring up I
have
50 years old hey, remember that one time when you turned off that video game? Shut up, and everyone talk about it again. We're not going to talk about it.
I have my Gamecube plugged in my living room, and I have all my games out there, and they came over recently and we played Double Dash together, and then we tried to play Rayman, and we were like, I don't know what's going on, these controls are terrible, I can't even see anything. And then next we were like, so what about Mario Baseball? And my friend was like, you should just get rid of that because it's never gonna happen.
What is Mario Baseball? I've never heard of that game before.
Oh, it was exactly. It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have an embarrassing story, at least from that era. I know mine is we were playing Smash Brothers at one point, and we got to the big blue stage, and I started singing a stupid song to the music, and I know Kendall still brings it up from time to time.
I was dying.
It was I think the most I'd ever seen you laugh at that point. We had to stop playing. But I don't know, this sounds a little bit like a segue. Let's talk about some of our favorite games for it. And one of the ones I was going to bring up, we might as well just get out of the way, is Super Smash Brothers Melee. It's still competitively played to this day. I was never that good to be competitive in it, but it was always fun just to mess around in. I remember that was one of the things I wanted a GameCube for. I remember when I first saw screenshots of it and Donkey Kong and things, I was like, oh my God, this looks like real life. Things will never look better than this. But I'd already loved it so much on the N64, and the N64 one looks bad by N64 standards, graphically. So this was a huge jump. And then they released the original cinematic. I was like, oh my God, it's got Bowser and Peach and all these other characters. I was even excited for the Ice Climbers, even though I always hated their game. That was the first game I went and pre-ordered, and I paid it ahead of time, and I had to wait until after school, but I was I gotta go to the mall, you have to go to EB Games. I might have even pre-ordered it from Wes. I was I have to go get it immediately. But yeah, the lead up to that game was so exciting. And then I remember unlocking characters and being really excited and being really confused because the last three were Roy Marth and Mr. Game & Watch, who I'd never heard of. But I was so stoked when Mewtwo showed up because he was one of the characters I wanted the most.
Oh my God. I'll never forget that announcement.
Nothing will beat that for me. Especially because now the internet, they kind of announce all the characters ahead of time. Although when they announced Sonic the Hedgehog for Brawl, that was something else too. But that's a story from when we talk about the Wii. We played it so much. like basically every time we hung out, we ended up playing Smash Brothers for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And like some of our friends were really good at it, so we had to play on like timed rather than stock. Like remember Andre was just so good at it that like
Yeah.
we couldn't we could all team up against him and just could not win.
Yeah. Yeah. It was oh yeah, I forgot how good he was.
And he was Jigglypuff and would just sleep on us and just kill us every single like second. It was awful.
Yeah, that was never that good.
Yeah.
Never.
And then
especially with Jigglypuff.
Yeah. And then I remember going to college and everyone else being way better than the rest of us. But the way I saw myself winning is if I annoyed everyone else enough that they had a bad time, I considered myself having won. So my roommate was really bad at playing against the Ice Climbers, so I ended up getting pretty good at them. But he was so good with Yoshi, he could like put his eggs wherever he wanted. It made me so mad. But it's one of my favorite games just in general, just the amount of time like we would just play it over and over and it never got old. But yeah,
and
so,
like you said, still people are competitively playing that.
Yeah, so figure we might as well get the one that everyone's going to kind of expect us to talk about right off the bat out of the way.
Sure.
As one of the ones I wanted to bring up myself. Morgan, there was one I would also have brought up, but I assume you're going to pick it as your favorite.
I know you hate it, so
well,
I'm
no,
sorry.
we might be talking about different games then because I really like the one.
Oh, okay, no, never mind. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's probably
it's
probably my favorite game of all time. I love Legend of Zelda Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first Legend of Zelda game. Again, I played the one on the NES, but this was the first one that I played and got into and was actively obsessed with. I used to try to just sail around and like find all the secrets myself. I was like extremely naive and didn't even realize like guides existed or anything until like I'm older now and I replay it. I'm like, oh, now I need a walkthrough for this. I'm like, how did I do this before? But I love the story. I love the characters. I think that game has some of the best characters in any of the Legend of Zelda games to this day.
I agree with that,
yeah, it's just great. And like I said, just that open world was amazing to me. And even the remaster on the Wii U, it's like, it looks good. It really doesn't look that different though. Wind Waker is one of those games I'll like annually play on the GameCube and it holds up, except for the camera. The inverted camera kills me, but that's just GameCube's thing. But to this day, I'm just like playing the Wii U version. I'm like, they didn't really change much.
I think
they didn't have to though.
Yeah,
and it looks great.
I think all they really did was change the lighting engine and make it like widescreen.
Exactly.
They tweaked a couple of things so you could like send pictures and stuff via the online service. I'm completely blanking on what it's called now. Miiverse, was that what it was?
Miiverse? Yeah, I think it's Miiverse.
Yeah, which was fun because that was an easy way to get all of the statues.
Yeah.
Did you do that back on the GameCube?
I did that in one of my later playthroughs. Like I said, that's a game I probably play at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
A few times I've gone through and I've done all the hearts, and one time I did go through and do all the photos, the figures.
I did all the figurines on one of my playthroughs like back in the day because I also played it a lot. I really loved it too.
I love it.
I mean, if you want to hear us gush,
music?
it's so good. I mean, we did a whole episode on Zelda where I think you and I gushed on that for a while.
Oh yeah, long time.
It's one of the games I think still holds up today.
Yeah,
era, where most of these kinds of games like really age kind of not great, especially the 64 era. But like this GameCube was, I think the cartoony nature of Wind Waker, I think really was a strong suit. Like I know everyone had a big backlash against that initially.
With Toon Link.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember thinking it looked bad once you started. I saw videos of it and how expressive it was. Like I was never bothered by that.
Well, that's the cool thing. Like each of the bosses are so different, and like they have some awesome like color schemes, and it's like that cartoony. Just like it adds to it, and I love it for that. and like the characters.
Coming off of games like Ocarina of Time and like specifically for me, Majora's Mask. I mean, that being as dark and like brooding as it is, and then going into something like the Wind Waker, it was like, okay, I'm here for this. And plus, like, I love cartoons, so it's fun. Like,
I can't really imagine that game in like another style working as well as it did. Like if you think of it, like you said, with like Ocarina of Time, like the exploration, I don't think would have been, I guess, just as fun.
Yeah, it just.
And then they were like, "Oh, here's Twilight Princess. We're dark again."
We're gonna go back to dark and brooding again.
I think
no worries, everyone.
Yeah, I think Twilight Princess was a gross overcorrection. Also a GameCube game.
Yeah.
But
between
the two of them, I'd take Wind Waker 10 times out of 10. You know,
hands down. Yeah, I liked Twilight Princess, but.
It's fine.
And I played the GameCube one, but like I think it was just like the moment in time. Like I played Wind Waker when I was, oh my God, how old was I? I think I was just going into high school. So it hit me like right at that time that like I was super into Zelda. It was like, like you said, the like sailing on the open sea, the whole like open world thing. I was like, I can go anywhere. What?
Yeah, it felt so massive at the time, but playing again more recently as an adult, I'm like, wow, this is really small.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so different now.
You're used to like Breath of the Wild now. You're like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, no, this is open.
If it doesn't take me 3 hours to walk there, I don't want it.
Right. I have no time for that. Just fast travel everywhere. Forget it.
Poor Kendall doesn't play Zelda games, so.
Kendall!
I like the top-down Zelda games. I never really got into the 3D ones.
Fair enough.
I think I'm a little bit of the opposite. I found I've kind of prefer the 3D ones to the top-down ones.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've always wanted to try. Unfortunately, one of my first tries was Twilight Princess.
Oh.
And I couldn't figure out how you had to like herd some animals in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the goat.
Just couldn't make it happen. So I turned it off and never played again.
Twilight Princess gave very little direction and it was extremely long.
Yeah.
Like I remember I went back once they did the Wii U remake too. And I was like, oh, I played on the GameCube, but only like once or twice. I'm gonna go back and try it out. And I remember thinking I was almost done like 10 times and then being like, wait, I didn't even get to this temple. I didn't do this yet, this yet. And then I was just like, I don't.
It was really long. I almost forgot like just how massive that game was.
Mm-hmm.
Like comparative to the ones that we grew up with. Like Twilight Princess was pretty massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a technical amazement, feat for a GameCube game,
Sure.
I just found it so uncompelling and ugly. Like
I agree with that.
I did a similar thing where I was like, it's one of my least favorite Zelda games. And then when the Wii U one came out, because I was gonna get it anyway because I collect the Zelda games like physically, but like I was like, oh, you know what? It's been a while. I'll give this one a new fair shake. And like, it's not a bad game. It's just not as good as other Zelda.
The temples have some really good themes and stuff, but it doesn't hit as well as like Wind Waker's does.
Yeah.
Like I think it's because of that art style.
And even though Wind Waker
like,
has
here's a cool sand temple, but it's dark. Here's a cool snow temple, but it's dark. And you're just like,
everything's just dark.
It's just dark.
Okay.
And you know what? Like Wind Waker has less temples than the average Zelda game, and a big thing for it is like when they were doing the Wii U one, because I know there was a bunch of cut stuff that they just cut for time. It's like, it'd be really cool if they kind of like revisited it and built and like gave us some new dungeons that they were supposed to have, but they didn't do that. They didn't have to do with that.
No.
So but I was like, that would have been a really cool thing to add, just because I want more of that game. And then we got some DS sequels, and I hate them because they hate the way they control. But anyway,
hated everything about the DS sequels. I agree.
So Kendall, what's one of your favorite games from GameCube?
So if we, moving past the Smash and the Double Dash, the game I probably played the most on my own is Dreamcast game, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yep.
Thinking back, I cannot even fathom why I was so excited to play a game that was just released like a couple years before with new stuff, but I played the crap out of it.
I don't think you were alone.
No, you were not
at all.
I was so stoked for a Sonic game on a Nintendo console that like this. So since the only Sega console I ever had was the Genesis, and I loved Sonic. It's the reason I bought it, but like it was my first Sonic game since the Genesis era.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I was pretty stoked on it,
my
and
gosh.
just the idea of a Sonic game on a Nintendo console was like mind melting for me. So yeah, if you didn't bring that one up, I was going to eventually, just for that experience alone. But like you had it for Dreamcast too, right?
Yep, I had it for Dreamcast. I played the crap out of it, and then got it for GameCube, and they added some like multiplayer aspects, but they also had a secret level if you could like collect all of these emblems. And holy smokes, I've sunk so much time into it, and then I remember accidentally deleting the file for some reason.
Didn't you get all of them?
No, I never got them
all right, I thought the story was you got all of them and deleted it.
No, I got really close, but
okay.
I never got them. Maybe that'll be a project for one day.
Tragedy.
So in case anyone's listening and doesn't know, the secret unlockable level, if you get all of the emblems, is a 3D recreation of Green Hill Zone from the first Sonic game.
First level of the first Sonic game.
Yeah. Did you get to play that ever? I never
played it.
So
it's in this disc.
Yeah. The emblems are too hard to get, man. Like some of them are ridiculous.
Yeah, especially on some of those Knuckles and
Knuckles.
You're climbing and climbing.
God.
Well, speaking of Knuckles, let's talk about the soundtrack a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, on more than one occasion,
yeah,
my friends have put that on the aux on our way home from bars. That soundtrack.
It's just amazing. You just didn't care back
like
then.
the Pumpkin Hill rap.
Pumpkin Hill.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Just
I used to play that level over and over because of that song. It was a jam.
It was so good. It was so good. It was so bad.
That's a game that I didn't play until I was older. I got with my boyfriend in high school, and I remember he was like, "Oh, you have a GameCube? Well, I have all these GameCube games, and I don't have a GameCube." I was like, first of all, match made in heaven. Also, gimme. And one of those was Sonic Adventure Battle 2, and he's like, "No, you have to try this." And I remember playing through it and being like, this game is amazing and so corny. I love it. Like the dialogue of the characters, like everything Shadow said made me like crack up laughing every single time.
So
I was
good.
like, this is amazing. And like the soundtrack, I was like, how did I not play this gem back in the day when it came out? Because I love it. I love it. It's great.
I was gonna say I really loved Sonic Adventure 2 Battle so much that when they remastered the first one second for some reason, it's Sonic Adventure DX. I remember renting it at Blockbuster and like not being as into it for some reason.
It's definitely doesn't hold up as well as 2 does.
And I'd argue that 2 doesn't hold up all that well to begin with.
No, definitely.
Yeah. It's worth a playthrough if you've never played it. I'll say that, but probably not more than one.
Yeah.
One is good enough.
You need it. Yeah. But for the dialogue alone, it's worth progressing. It's like,
yes.
Okay, it's great. And the Chow Chows, adorable.
Oh, I did spend a lot of time with the Chow.
I would die for them.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things about GameCube was the connectivity to Game Boy Advance, which we can talk about that a lot more in depth, but specifically like Sonic, you were able to like take your Chow with you in the Game Boy Advance. So I just like be on the bus to school, gotta feed my Chow, and teach them how to read or something, whatever. And then
just
race
remember
them
it because they were
home.
like Tamagotchis. I was like, dude, it's like a Tamagotchi, but it's Sonic. I was all about it.
No, if you guys didn't bring up being able to take your child on the go, I would have too. And I know that was something they did on the GameCube too with the VM, or not GameCube, with the Dreamcast with the VMU too, right?
Yeah. But I mean, even more so, the worst part about the connectivity was batteries. You always needed batteries, I think. And it was even worse on the Dreamcast because the VMU took like watch batteries. It's just like usually you can just steal some batteries from the remote if you have to, and then the parent will be like, "Oh, dang it!"
It's like yes, me child has watch batteries laying around my house.
But that was I think that was that the first game to use that? It was at least the first one I ever was aware of doing it. If it wasn't the first, it was early.
Yeah, it might have been the first one I used as well.
But I know Kendall and I will eventually talk about some other games that required GBAs. But first let's talk to Katie about what's one of your favorite GameCube games.
So mine's going to be a little bit of, my favorite and a little bit of the underappreciated, because I know you wanted us to pick one of those. I
like to highlight some underappreciated stuff when we talk about consoles.
This is going to definitely go under both categories.
That's fine.
So my favorite game ever, and I have it somewhere, but it's buried, is Mega Man X Command Mission for the GameCube. And it was also on the PS2, but the GameCube one was better.
Shots fired.
So yeah, many shots fired. I will defend it to the end of time.
Many lemons blasted or whatever, Mega Man kind of reference. Yeah.
Haha, lemons. No, so basically this was for those who have played Mega Man X before, which I hope some of you have, it was their first foray into the RPG land. I don't know why anybody asked for, or if anyone even asked for a Mega Man X RPG, but I'm pretty sure they didn't. But this is probably one of the funniest, corniest, just weirdest games I have ever played on the face of the planet, and I love every second of it. It's basically like the story is, it's the whole like, the government's trying to kill all of humanity. Oh, these robots are going to fight against the government.
Yeah, I can't imagine a world where that happens.
I was going to say too real.
Very political story. However, it is very like Star Wars-y, so it kind of, fits into that, I guess, that realm for me. But just the voice acting's horrific. The writing is terrible. It's so corny.
It wouldn't be a 3D Mega Man game if it wasn't those things,
Exactly. But like, that's kind of why I love it so much. And I mean, I'm also a huge Mega Man X fan, that I should preface with that. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's people look at this game and they're just like, wait, why? Why does this exist? Like, nobody asked for this.
I know you've streamed it on Poorly Played Gaming because I've watched you play it.
Yeah, I'm actually attempting to speedrun it. I don't ask why. I don't know. It's just one of those that I love this game so much, so I'm trying to break it as much as possible.
Yeah.
And
out of love.
Out of love, yes.
Yeah, you heard it out of love,
Yeah, No, but it's, it's everybody has one of those like guilty pleasure games that like nobody really likes admitting that they like too much. I don't even care. This is my favorite game of all time. It's my guilty pleasure game, underappreciated game, favorite game of all time. Who cares? Go play it. It's really good.
It also had a Command Mission. It was
really?
Yeah. I love a good or a bad JRPG.
Yes.
And I remember when the Mega Man Battle Network series was like first launched. I was like, oh shoot, like a JRPG Mega Man.
It was around the same time, actually.
Yeah, and it wasn't exactly that. It was a little bit different.
They tried to do like a fantasy RPG, like turn-based, or yeah, that's what I mean, turn-based RPG game, but with Mega Man.
Yeah, and I remember.
Okay, sure.
I played the crap out of it, but I didn't beat it. I feel like every area was very similar, and I was just like, "Is this game over yet?"
Yes,
and I ended up trading it in for something.
It was kind of one of those like. It's one of those games that you weren't really sure, like you grow up not really sure if it actually existed or if it was one of those things that you just kind of dreamt or like made up in the back of your head. But then you go back and you play it and you're like, wait, this was real. It's like one of those games. It's like those like surreal experiences that you just kind of
like you mention it and then so many people, it just comes back to them. They're like, oh my God.
They're like, wait,
that was in the depths of my brain.
Yes.
For like
it's one of those experiences. Yeah. It's unconventional, but it's, you know, I don't even know if that's the right word, but you know, it's yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. Weird, but you know.
Didn't they give him a laser scarf or something crazy?
Yes, they did. When you press the dash button, he has a really cool laser scarf that comes off of him. I don't know.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
Capcom was going through some things back then. That's it. It was a rough period.
Looking back on just the Mega Man series in general, man, that is a weird franchise.
Yes.
Almost from the beginning. Maybe not so much the NES era, but like, because I can't remember any like big spin-offs there, but like, you know, when they licensed them out to Captain N, they changed him. It looks absolutely nothing like Mega Man. Even just the first
Mega Man's been through some stuff,
yeah,
let me say. Our poor little guy, he's been through some stuff.
We're going to definitely do a Mega Man episode because I know you have a lot to discuss with it, Katie. So,
I can discuss all the Mega Man.
No, there's so much ground to cover with Mega Man. But let's move on with GameCube stuff.
Please.
Kendall, what's another one of your favorites there?
So a game I had a lot of fun playing with a friend group in my hometown was the remake of, I feel like everything is a remake in my pile.
Yeah.
The remake of Resident Evil. I'd played Resident Evil 2 for PlayStation, and then the next generation later they remade the first one, and it was like me and my friends, we grew up in the woods. It was always dark, and we loved to be scared. And this like scared the crap out of us.
Oh, that game scared me so bad I never played another Resident Evil game again.
Oh my God.
That was one of the first games that my dad bought for the GameCube for like his enjoyment. And I remember like my sister and I at night, he's like, you gotta go in your room. I have to play Resident Evil. It's too scary. Yeah. And I'd hear him like hollering in the other room. And he's like, you guys can't be around for this. It's way too scary. We were in the same situation. We grew up in the woods, and he's like, you will be afraid to walk from the car to the house if you watch 10 minutes of this game.
Oh no, I was playing it. I rented it. I was playing it. I got a little into it. The first time a Crimson Head popped up, it scared me so bad. But like, there's a part where the dog jumps through the window unexpectedly. Yep. And my neighbor's dog barked at the exact same time, and I was like, nope, and just left. I was like, I'm not playing this ever again.
Nope.
Oh yeah, but like I think if I owned it, I might have pushed through it because I rented it. I was like, I had like one day left. I was like, I'm not playing it, and just brought it back.
You're like, I have to pull an all-nighter for this, and it's not happening.
But from what I know of Resident Evil, I think I would have got frustrated with some of the really like esoteric puzzles and stuff, and just stopped playing it. Just my personal gaming style of the time. Like now I could probably play it and be fine, but I just know then I wouldn't have had the patience, and I would have been too on edge at any moment to like really want to push through it. That's me.
It was a game like I didn't mind like playing with my friends and passing the controller around, because like I don't know, maybe it would have been too scary if I was like by myself, but you know, it's like 4 teenage boys sitting on a couch. And then like, I remember they added this boss who's just like this like zombie girl with her hands bound together, and she can like walk a little faster than a regular zombie, and like took too many bullets to kill, and just like I was terrified to like walk home from my friend's house after
Oh
dark.
my god.
This thing's gonna pop out of the woods. She's gonna eat me. Like, what am I gonna do?
It's never been there before, but tonight it will be.
No.
I'll totally be there.
I mean, that's some of the best like scary experiences, like if it's movies and whatnot, you have them with your friends and like you actually kind of get into your brain a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe if I maybe would have been more okay if I was playing with friends or something, but by myself, like at night, like nope, that wasn't the end of that. And true story, I've never played another Resident Evil game since.
I gotta commend y'all for even being able to play them. I'm such a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yep.
I can't.
I'm a
Like,
scaredy cat,
games-
but I love it.
The scariest games I play is The Last of Us.
I won't even do that. Like I am such a scaredy cat.
I'm
my
that
God.
person who like screams and cries playing like Tomb Raider and Uncharted when things get a little supernatural.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Well,
like The
those
Last of Us, I was like, well,
Yeah.
it's 8 o'clock at night. Can't play this until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not having
I'll,
it.
Well,
I'll
say-
stick with my happy Super Mario. I'm good
Well,
with that.
I mean, talking about Super Mario, like I think Luigi's Mansion's a good spooky game. I mentioned in our
I
horror
agree.
game episode, like it actually scared me when I was a kid for playing it for the first time. When you're the part where like you're almost at the end of the game and then like lightning hits the mansion and the power goes out and you have to like
Yes.
go through the whole place, but like now
Again,
everything's
with all the
scary. Like,
ghosts.
ghosts are everywhere again because all the lights are out and you have to get to the basement to get to the breakers and you haven't been there before, but you can't really see where you're going because it's dark now. Oh, it was so scary to me at the time, like in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like
No, that
fun
also
kind of scary.
that legit scared me as a kid because
Yeah.
that was a legit fear of mine, was all the lights going off in the house and having to go down to the basement to like flip them back on. One of those irrational fears, I guess. But like no, straight up, like Luigi's Mansion scared me as a child. That's why I couldn't play Resident Evil.
Yeah,
I was okay with the spooky aspect of that. I will say I did hate that baby.
oh, the baby fight.
ghost. I hated
So
that
much.
ghost. That one was creepy. Everything else I was all right with
Yeah.
at the time.
Well, let's go from a dark, foreboding Mario game and go to a bright, sunny one because I know what your other game you want to talk about, Morgan, is.
Yeah, it's Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
That is the other game that I have played annually for about 10 years now. I love it. I love it. I love everything about it. I know Scott has some
I have issues with
opinions
it.
otherwise.
Yeah.
But we were saying before the episode, it's one of those games that everybody you know either loves it or they hate it. There's no in between.
I don't know anyone that's in between on it. Yeah.
I think every level, or I guess you'd say area in that game is so fun and different, and the enemies are great. There's some repetitive levels themselves with like the coins and the secret things, and like also F all the secret levels where you're
Great.
but that's a game that and it's another one that still holds up, I think, because of its cartoony style. On the GameCube it's fun to play again, besides the inverted control, the camera controller, but it's just so good, and like the music's fun, and the just everybody in the game is fun. Yoshi's fun. I just love it. And that was why I wanted a GameCube, because I remember seeing that and being like, Dad, F the NES Marios, I want that one.
Yeah.
Give me
Like,
that
I'm tired
Mario.
of Mario Brothers. I want that.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right.
Well, Katie, you're a Sunshine guy too, right?
I am a Sunshine guy. Actually, that is also my other favorite game that I was gonna pick. So I will absolutely echo your sentiments there, Morgan. Super Mario Sunshine is my favorite Mario game, hands down.
I agree.
Full stop. Okay. I
Full
would have guessed.
stop.
I would have guessed Super Mario RPG, knowing you.
Well, okay.
All right.
Let's not get too technical. Okay, mainline Mario
All right.
game. Super
Right,
Mario
fair
Sunshine.
enough.
Or okay, 3D Mario game. Let's do that.
All right.
Mario Sunshine is my favorite. I think it's better than 64. I think it's better than Galaxy. I think it's like I am in the boat of it's the best Mario game. I know a lot of people hate it, just like Morgan said.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't like Mario Sunshine, especially now that it's been re-released on the Switch. A lot of people are very like, wow, this game was programmed horribly. The controls are terrible. The camera was awful.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't like the controls. Something about it just doesn't feel right.
The
It's very
Switch
wobbly.
release did butcher the controls,
They
but
did.
that's not, I wouldn't blame that on the game, because playing on the GameCube, I never had an issue with the controls themselves.
And neither did I. So that's why I was kind
Yeah.
of like, when everybody was saying, wow, the controls are really bad, I was like, you know what? I agree with that, but I don't remember that being
No.
Oh,
when I was
I always had that complaint with the GameCube version. And you know, this is
Really?
another thing that kind of stinks about Super Mario 3D All-Stars is why didn't they
Mhm.
support GameCube controllers for that game?
I know.
As an option
Yeah.
if you can.
I was bummed. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I wanted to play Mario Sunshine with like the GameCube controllers, and I
Yep.
couldn't. But I mean, you know, regardless, it did outline a lot of those like problems that I remember people bringing up when we were younger. But like, I think the style, like Morgan said, like the style of the game and like the cartoony, you know, it was so happy and sunshiny and all that kind of stuff. That kind of like overpowered all of the negative stuff. So I feel like that stuck with me more going into like my adult years than anything else did. But then again, you know, it is one of those games that you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another one of those games where I remember like going through on my own and finding all the secrets, like all the additional like blue coins and this and that, and like just feeling really, I guess, like fulfilled playing it.
Yeah, like
I
collecting.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
You know what?
It
This
was
is-
just a fun game to explore as well.
This is probably an age thing because I had that exact same feeling about Mario 64. It's one of the first game, well, not the first game, but I got all of the stars and stuff in it. I was just in love with exploring it and playing the levels over and over again.
Yeah.
But
Mario Sunshine was very satisfying. I just
was.
loved cleaning
It was that's what it was.
the ink off of everything.
It was so
constant
weird.
progression from the first shine sprite you get, the island gets a little sunnier, everybody gets a little happier, and you're like, dang, I'm helping the environment. Like,
You're just like giving it all away.
yeah.
yeah,
Really like this.
I guess I'm the minority on this. I like to keep the podcast more positive. It's just one of those things that controls just didn't feel right to me, so like I couldn't get into it. But I love the idea of the game. I love the way it looks. I wish you didn't have to work so hard to unlock like Mario's vacation outfit, because I would just play the whole game like that. I might have pushed through if that's what he looked like, you know, with his like sunglasses and like tropical shirt and stuff.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
But speaking of Mario, I want to talk about my favorite non-mainline Mario game, Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door. And this is something this is not nostalgia talking. I only played the Paper Mario games for the first time like 3 years ago. I played Paper Mario 1 on N64. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, let me go get Thousand Year Door and just move right into that. And like, man, what a great experience. It's so weird. It's such a weird game. Like there's like a side, like the Piantas from Sunshine are in it, but they're like the mob in this game. And there's like a side quest where you have to like get there, like do something like put like there's a star-crossed lovers thing, I think, with the one of the main mob boss's daughter. So you have to like do a bunch of like missions for him. Luigi continually shows up in the game and he's having an adventure like you, and you get to like he's basically telling you what he's doing, and then you meet his weird companions, and they're like, Luigi's the worst person ever. He's ruining this thing for all of us. It's so
Worst
funny.
person ever.
The characters in it are so weird. Like Vivian, the Shadow People, like they're so not typical to Mario characters. Like the worlds are so distinct and memorable. There's like a whole world where you have to be like a professional wrestler, and you get basically like a little scrappy Dooby Yoshi.
I heard about that. There's a bunch of little Easter eggs in it. It's really cute.
Oh, it's such a fun game. It's so weird and absurd, but like it all comes together in such a satisfying way. that like none of the other Paper Mario since really captured. I mean, Super Paper Mario is also really weird, but it doesn't play like a regular Paper Mario game, so it's like hard to put it in the same way. But since then, they just blandified it, and like they're all just classic Mario, like Toads and stuff. But like that was the last time they really were out of their way to like experiment with the Mario universe, I think, in a way that like I kind of miss, in which they would bring back, like they sort of did that with Odyssey, just with like the different worlds kind of having different art styles, which I appreciate. Which I love that game too, but yeah, Super Paper Mario, it's kind of hard to get it's fairly expensive. I really wish they'd port some of that stuff to the Switch or make more available, because it's something I think everyone should play. Even if you're not into RPGs, it's not overwhelming you with like stats and things. It's not just you pick an attack and you do it. Like you do have to do like little time things. You're always engaged by it. Your party members will do different things, like in the world, like you get this like old Sea Captain Babam, and like you can use him to blow up different areas of the map to unlock more ways to go.
Yeah.
Just as an example, you can ride your little Yoshi around. He can walk on the spikes and do like Yoshi things in the real world. Oh, it's so cool. I don't know if any of you guys played that.
That's one that I haven't actually played yet. I love the Paper Mario series, but I've never played Thousand Year Door.
I'd argue Thousand Year Door might be the best one of the bunch. Paper Mario 64 is also really good, though.
That's my favorite. I like the one on the 64 a lot.
Yeah.
I just want anyone who's listening to this and not watching it, I want everyone to know that Scott was so excited talking about Thousand Year Door that he put his hands to his temples as if receiving a psychic communication. I guess that means I have to go play Thousand Year Door.
No, like now I really want to, like Scott, you legit made me want to go play this like today.
I mean,
like
I've got a copy you can borrow if you want. Yeah. But it's one of the ones like I'm
excited.
Outside of Paper Mario circles, people talk about it, but like in the general like gaming sphere, like nobody mentions it. And like I guess that kind of leads us into like underrated gems a little bit. But yeah, like what are some games that like you guys think deserve a little bit more attention than people like necessarily give? I know Katie, you kind of did that with Command Mission a little bit, and I guess
I'm good.
I just did a similar thing with Thousand Year Door. But what about you, Morgan?
Okay, so mine was like Katie's. It was also released on, I believe, PlayStation. It is it is another one of those guilty pleasures. It is Tak and the Power of Juju. Okay. I don't know if any of you ever played that.
I remember it, yes.
The only thing I know about the only thing I know about Tak is whenever I see those games, I was like, should I be offended by this somehow?
Tak is one of those games where I think my friend had mentioned like wanting it, and I looked into it and I was like, that would be a good game. So we came to the agreement. We were like, all right, we'll split it, and then we'll either play it together or like I'll give it to you afterwards, whatever. And I remember playing this game and being like, it is, first of all, just hilarious. It is so funny. I mean, like, what's funnier than a tribe of people called the Poopanunu people? Okay, like, come on now. Come on. And like ridiculous. The first 5 seconds of the game, you're like, okay, this is already outrageous. And the gameplay was pretty simple, but I remember there being some really funny, like, almost like or mini games, I'm sorry. Like he's running around in a chicken costume in parts of the game. He's throwing sheep in parts of the game. There's like scary parts in that game. I remember you're like basically raising the dead in one part and you're like, what is happening? But it was really good. And the story, I remember being really good. I've gone back and I didn't finish it, but I started it again and it was the same thing. It was like the first 10 minutes I was cracking up. I was like, this is so ridiculous, this game. And it was good enough to have 2. They had the Dream, I think it was the Dream Staff of Dreams. I remember playing that one as a kid too and getting through it pretty quickly, but not liking it as much as the first. But like, I feel like no one really talks about them. It's like Katie's where you mention it and people are like, I forgot that existed.
Yeah.
Which is
That was
amazing
in
because
the
that had a
depths of my
cartoon
brain.
too, right?
It did have a cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The cartoon came out after the game, I believe.
Yeah.
It
and
was
I know-
Nickelodeon.
It was Nick.
Yeah, it was
because he's-
Nickelodeon. I
yeah,
remember
Nick's-
being really into the game and then not enjoying the cartoon.
Yeah. I know because he was a Nicktoon, he showed up in a couple of Nicktoon games as well.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I remember that.
That game it's hilarious. It's so funny. I love it.
Maybe I'll give it
Wow.
a second shot. I think it was like real kiddie, and I was more older than I think it. I wanted to, the target audience for that.
It's funny. There's some good characters in that one too. Like the old man in the beginning telling you like what to do is just like insane. And it's just funny as an adult to like sit there and listen to this guy. He's got like a couple like fairy companions and they're pretty cool too. It's good.
Aw.
All right,
Yeah.
give it a shot at some point. How about you, Kendall? What's one of your underappreciated games?
So maybe it's not. So it is Zelda Four
Okay.
Swords Adventure.
You almost knocked my mic over.
I was going to bring that one up if no one else did. So
Oh,
my
well, cool.
God.
Maybe why don't you take it away, because I only wanted to play it with buds, and because that was just such a hard thing to do. I had a lot of fun when I did play it, but it was one I never beat. But you did, right?
no, I never beat it either because I was in the same boat.
Oh
So
my gosh.
again, it was annoying to get together because everyone had to have a Game Boy Advance and a link cable to play.
And full batteries.
Yeah, and full batteries.
Oh my god.
Hate those batteries.
So we only got to play it a couple of times, but like, I mentioned before, I'm a big Zelda guy. It's like, oh my God, a Zelda game I can play with friends. It's really annoying by yourself having to control everyone at once. But part of the trouble is like sometimes we'd play it and you get like a bad actor who'd get the bombs and just blow everyone up over and over again. And you never progress.
Yep.
But it's a game I would love to go back to because it's one they've never like bring it to the Switch. Everyone's got their own screen. It would be so easy.
Thank you. This
Um,
is an easy port. I mean,
well-
it's easy money.
we talk about that, but I have another game I'm going to bring up that should have been an easy port for similar reasons. But I would love to get back and play that because again, it would be just probably more annoying now because who still's got GBAs lying around,
I still got one somewhere.
Some of us
Too.
probably do, but like I don't. Like
I do.
I have
yeah.
two.
Ah, well, maybe we'll get together and play it and do it. As
Yeah, post COVID, let's stream this game.
Yeah, let's
Dude,
do it.
I'm about it. I love that game.
But yeah, no, it's such a fun concept because like, you go into like your own little like alcoves and stuff, and then your character would go down to your screen. So that way, like, when you're shopping or doing like other things, you don't have to rely on all the other players. But yeah, no, Four Swords Adventures is one I would love to go back and play. I think the first fight is like Phantom Ganon, and it's the classic, like he shoots a ball at someone, but like you'd be different colors, and like you'd end up bouncing them around, so everyone has to pay attention. Because like say he shoots it to the green one, like they could have to hit it to the red one if they're not positioned correctly. Like they get hit and you basically kill each other. Like it's a lot more difficult.
That's right. It was
than a
color
normal
coded.
one. Yeah.
Didn't they try to
remember.
do a similar game on the 3DS?
So the
pretty
3DS
recently?
one.
Which one was
They
that?
did.
Well, so on the GBA release of Link to the Past, they added a Four Swords like side game since you could put it together. The 3DS one is they ported to that, and then they added a couple other levels based on other Zelda games. I think it was NES, Wind Waker, and I don't remember what the third one was. It might have been Link to the Past. No, it wouldn't have been because that's what the main game is based on. I don't remember. But like they changed the art style so you kind of matched those. Since it was like, I think the 25th anniversary of Zelda.
Yeah, I remember I worked at GameStop at the time, and that was their big thing. They're like, you could play Legend of Zelda with your friends, and I was like, that existed before, but okay.
Well, that one I did. That one I did beat on 3DS because it was really easy. It was a free download. Friends could just download it, and then we could just play it together.
Yeah.
It was nice and simple.
Yeah.
I remember that. Oh my gosh.
But I think this is a good segue into the underrated game I wanted to bring up, which is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Again, we
so
mostly
many
wanted,
good choices.
Yeah.
we mostly wanted to play it with buds. I know I played it with Kendall and us, my friends, a couple of times, but I ended up finishing that game solo. It was a similar thing where everyone had to have a GBA controller, and so that way you had your own inventory screen and stuff. What was cool about the GameCube one is like they would split up like essentially the UI. Like one person had the map, and one person had like the inventory and stuff like that. So you kind of had to talk to each other about like where to go and what to do. Now this is something they did bring to the Switch, and I was really excited because I know Kendall and I wanted to play it, so we could finally beat this game. And it's so needlessly complicated and such a pain to do. Like you can't just play it with each other. Or like it's insane.
It took us like an hour and a half to figure out how to like play with
one level that lasts like less than 5 minutes, and then you're just done. And then you can't just keep playing together, like because it ties your progress to whoever's like the game, like whoever's hosting the room.
Yeah.
And then you can't.
So not everybody gets like the.
So to play it with
progress.
just the two of us, we'd have to beat it on mine, switch who's hosting it, play it on his, then move on to the next level. Like it's just so much more complicated.
Bummed. Like when they first announced that was coming to the Switch, I was like, brilliant idea.
Yeah,
what a great! I know so many people that loved that game growing up.
Again, it was perfect because like the Switch, everyone has their own screen, and you could do it online. Like you could just
it was a no-brainer, and then they botched it so bad. I was so upset.
Yeah,
I was like, no, this game is so much fun. I'm still gonna play it solo, but this really sucks.
We ended up portioning ourselves like halfway through it, and it's just like, stopped.
I did read something somewhere where like I think it was literally they took like the mobile port and just ported it to the Switch, and that was it.
Yeah,
it was like they really didn't do a whole lot of work on it.
I know. It's like another thing that was exciting about too is like there was a mobile version that was free, but if you play it with someone who's got the full game, you could play the full game with them. So it's like, that might be easy. Like, Kendall's wife's not super into games, but if she could just play it on her phone together,
it might like pick up and play easy.
Yeah, but
can't even do that.
It was rough.
That sucks. I was really bummed about that.
Yeah. But the GameCube version's fun if you can get it going, because you can just play the game together without any problem.
Yeah. You don't have to sit there and wait to connect and all this weird.
And even by itself, like I beat that game, I ended up beating that game by myself because I had it, but like, so again, hard to get everyone over. Like occasionally you get people to come over, but like not everyone brought a Game Boy and stuff. So it wasn't one you could play, and there wasn't like we were spoiled for choice for multiplayer games because we could just pop in Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, But it was a good game, and it deserves better than the Switch port.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like that. I know that it had some games that came out after the initial Crystal Chronicles. Like it still kept, I think, like some 3DS games, or correct me if I'm wrong,
or something. Yeah,
something like that.
It was a DS one.
Yeah, but it was again, it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
it was weird.
It was weird. It wasn't the same feeling. Like I don't know, like that. I felt like the world that the first Crystal Chronicles took place in was like really cool. The whole concept was cool. I loved it.
I loved the boss designs so much.
The bosses were fun.
These are so and I find that was like Final Fantasy Tactics too. Like the first one was great, and then like everything else was just like really weird and unnecessarily complicated.
It's like every time they tried to do something cool with like the Final Fantasy series, the first game is always really cool, like the first concept, and then anything following that is like money.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any Final Fantasy fans mad, but
sorry, Final Fantasy fans.
I'm Final Fantasy episode.
We'll do one. I have opinions on Final Fantasy.
We'll make them mad at that.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll get comments and views and stuff, and ride the algorithms a little bit, even though maybe because they just announced a new Final Fantasy game. We're getting off topic, but like we can probably sync something up with that, releasing something.
16.
Yes, they did. I'm very excited. I'm pretty sure they just confirmed it's going to be rated M too.
Oh boy!
I'm very excited.
I don't know if I'm old enough to play. I might have to wait.
I haven't really liked Final Fantasy in a lot of years. Anyway,
I'm the opposite.
I'm getting back into it. I've been out of it. Well, growing up, I was really into it. I've been out of it for several years. Now I'm kind of weaseling my way back into it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if we do a Final Fantasy episode, I'll give you guys a call.
Cool.
So Katie, what's one of your underrated or underappreciated games?
Well, I was also going to say Super Mario Sunshine, but also Command Mission.
Yeah.
As far as underappreciated,
There's so many games that like I think are underappreciated. Then I'm like, wait, hold on. That might actually be universally loved.
like that's the thing. Like
I was like naming things and I'm like, wait, no, I know at least 10 people who also loved this game. So I don't.
Right? Like, so I guess if I had to think back and really pick one, and I don't know if this really counts as underappreciated, but Soul Calibur 2.
Oh, I love Soul Calibur 2.
Like that game. I was way into it because Link was available.
That's why I picked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as a GameCube character. But I think just, again, it was like one of those experiences that like growing up, you know, I was always way into video games as a kid, period. Like just like development and you know, the concept, artistic concepts, everything behind it. I was always into it as a kid. I thought it was so cool that like each release had its own special character. So like GameCube had Link. I think Xbox had Spawn.
Xbox had Spawn, and Heihachi was in the PlayStation 2 version.
Heihachi, that's right.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that fascinated me as a kid. But like that game, like by itself, like I remember the arcade version was really cool because it was like you had to like go through this like dungeon, and like each room was like a different fight that you had to do, and like it was like a different objective that you had to complete or something like that. But just like the way that the game was set up, like that really got me into like fighting games, not like Super Smash Brothers, but like you know, like Soul Calibur or Street Fighter or Tekken or anything like that. Like that was like the first one that really got me into like actual fighting games. Like Soul Calibur 2 is rad. That game was so much fun.
I love Soul Calibur 2. I spent so much time in that adventure mode it came with was long.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was like the adventure mode or whatever.
It was like different like challenges
so cool.
across a map. Like so the matches aren't always necessarily about beating people. It's about doing certain other objectives too.
Yes.
Oh man, I spent so much time in Soul Calibur 2. I loved Soul Calibur 2. And Link was so broken in it because they gave him like his
he was.
So they gave him like his Smash Brothers moveset. And Smash Brothers is all about knocking people out of the rings, and that's one of the ways you can beat people. So
I just remember the one attack. He just literally would take his shield and sword like this and just like one after the other, and that would like ring out every single time. And I was like, shoot, I'm like the best fighting game person ever.
It made me feel so good.
I win everything. Yeah, I was like, look at me, I am the coolest.
No, I will not play as anybody else, but like,
I mean, eventually,
I will not main.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can say I mained Link, but I also liked Mitsurugi. I liked Talon. I eventually liked kind of most people.
Yoshimitsu was my main.
Oh, Yoshimitsu's great too.
I was a Maxi.
Maxi.
Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
Yeah.
Fellow chucker.
You know, I also loved Nightmare. So you know, one of the cool things about it is like everyone had like unlockable weapons and they would change kind of like what you did, but like for Link it was all stuff from his games. It's like, and they all had a joke one, and his joke one was the bug net, and I thought that was the coolest thing. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I remember there was like the big Goron sword, which wasn't as big as the big Goron sword. I think there was the magic sword from Majora's Mask.
I always played with the Great Fairy sword.
Because
it was the pretty looking one.
Yeah.
It was purple. No, it was pink, purple, and green. And I was like, wow, that's the pretty looking weapon. I'm going to play as that one. And that was like my main weapon every time.
It's amazing that his main weapon, the Master Sword, is like the least special of all those swords, even though it's like canonically the most powerful sword in Zelda.
Yeah. That was like his main weapon or his default weapon. That's what it was.
But yeah, and it was cool, like, you know, because everyone gets the Soul Edge or whatever as a weapon in it. So it's like really weird seeing Link with like this like horrific like eye monster weapon.
I thought that was so cool.
It was cool that he had his other colors were like the different like tunics from Ocarina of Time. I don't know. He was a fun inclusion, but that was a fun game regardless of Zelda being in it. You know?
Yeah, it was just cool. It was like one of those games that you could like just easily pick up, like very arcadey. You could just pick it up and play it and put it down, and like
it was Smash Brothers-esque, and like that everyone kind of controls relatively similarly, but like has their own like quirks on it. It's like once you got the idea of like high and low attacks and like how to block them, you were pretty much able to play anyone you wanted. Versus like something like Tekken, which is another like 3D arena brawler, which is much more like juggly and like technical, which is a little harder to get into, or like God forbid Street Fighter, we have to know like these ridiculous command inputs and stuff, which is why I never got into those games. I would just mash them and maybe do something like cool if I'm lucky.
Yeah, fighting games it's a beast.
That's why I tend to stick to Smash Brothers. I understand that. Plus, you get to play as all these cool Nintendo characters, and now just video game characters in general. But yeah, who else has got an unappreciated game they'd like to bring up real quick?
I have one. I don't know if it's very appreciated in this realm, but I don't know if it's underappreciated as a GameCube game.
Well, let's find out.
This is one of the games that I have put the most hours into ever, and that is Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. It is so good. I know, like, among Harvest Moon, like, everybody pretty much universally thinks it's one of the best games.
I would agree with that.
I don't know many people who played it on the GameCube, but I also like don't know many people, if that type of game isn't their thing, they're not going to play it. So I don't know if it's underappreciated, but it's kind of the same thing as like the characters are insane. like I remember playing it and like my dad sitting over my shoulder like reading the dialogue, and he's like, what are you playing? Like there's a hippie guy sitting in a hut singing. This guy is asking you to bring him fish and he's a scientist. There's a homeless man running around asking you for food and then like stealing things and just yelling gibberish. There's a Yeti in the woods sometimes. It's like it was really fun because there was of course like the progression with your farm and like the regular farming and having the different animals and stuff, but then like I felt like the side stuff and like the relationships you're supposed to form with the people was just like, it was so much fun. And everybody had like likes and dislikes, so like you'd be like, oh, this person, if you want to marry this person in the end, you give her flowers, but then this person doesn't like anything except for milk. It's like it's just like, it was so bizarre. You're like, okay, I'm gonna bring this person a tomato, they like them. This person only likes rocks, so whatever. But it was really fun because then it was the same thing. So you had the progression with your farm going, and then they would give you things to help out. Like I remember the big thing, if you were into buying all the buildings and stuff, was a seed maker, and because you could just use one fruit, get a ton of seeds, plant things, make a ton of money, and then that was kind of like that was your money maker. But to do that, you had to befriend the scientist, and he was real weird, and every time you walked in his lab he was like blowing something up, or like it was just so much fun. And I remember like every time a cutscene started, I got so excited because I was like, okay, where is this going?
I haven't played much of that game. It is good, but I remember trying to one of the women you can marry in it, doesn't she like the daughter of like someone you can buy seeds and stuff from? I remember trying to get
Cecilia is the farmer's
trying
daughter.
to get with her so I could get seeds easier.
I
was trying to metagame romance.
Oh my gosh.
But I never got very far in it. But it's a cute game, and considering how sheer many hours I've put into Stardew Valley, shows how much I like these kinds of games. I'm surprised.
Exactly.
Play them. Like I've seriously played like 500 hours of that game. Like,
me too. And I bought like the I guess they're like the Story of Seasons now. They're not Harvest Moon anymore.
Yeah, they get really weird now. Like Harvest Moon,
I got them for the DSs. and stuff, and I liked them, but like the thing that was missing was like that bizarre story, and I just couldn't get into it. I was like, this is far too normal for my taste.
Yeah. I was about to say, like,
I was like, no.
Wonderful Life seems like the last, like, for lack of a better term, like normal Harvest Moon game.
Yeah.
They all got really weird about like harvest sprites and making the earth happy. Like it got weird and like never.
Yeah.
It stopped really focusing on like the simple life kind of stuff that it was the initial appeal.
Well, yeah, because this was fun because it just felt like all that bizarre stuff was it wasn't the main focus of the game, but like you made it the main focus of the game. Then there was some like really sad stuff. I remember being heartbroken when the old man's wife dies. And then like every single day he's standing by his grave at the same time and he's like, can you clean her grave? And you're just like, well, I am 10, first of all. You're like,
I am 10 and this is too deep for me.
I have some rocks to go deliver, but it's I love that game. And they actually re-released it. It wasn't like remastered or anything, just on the PlayStation, actually, the PlayStation 4. Pretty recently. You could buy it and a couple other ones in the store, and I downloaded it and I played the crap out of it again, and I was like, oh, I love this game.
Did they have to
like
change
as far as
or something for the re-release?
I don't think so. I think that one was still Wonderful Life.
Okay. Because I remember there's some sort of like legal thing with like Harvest Moon being owned by another company, but the developers for a bunch of the games had to
well, now that's why they're like the Story of Seasons on the DSs and stuff, but I love that game. It's great.
So Kendall, you got one? Got another underappreciated gem there?
I mean, I'm running through. I do have one set aside. Another Dreamcast game. Skies of Arcadia Legend. Just a JRPG that kind of like takes the whole like in Final Fantasy, every game, the big moment is where you get the airship. And this is just about airships, and there's like traditional turn-based battles, and you know, you play as air pirates, so there's also like ship battles, and you can like level up your airship. It's a lot of fun.
That game's cool.
Right? Yeah,
I really cool. Like Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah. GameCube was, you know, Dreamcast was one of my favorite systems, but obviously a failure and very underappreciated. So GameCube kind of like served as a second home for a lot of those gems.
Yeah, it's the only thing that was missing. They never brought Power Stone over. It would have been perfect.
Oh yeah, it would have been so great.
Yeah.
Also, the original Jet Grind Radio. That would have
been good too.
That was the best Dreamcast game.
Skies of Arcadia, I really wanted to play. It's one of the 2 Dreamcast games I own. I bought a Dreamcast to play that, and we had Power Stone 1, which Power Stone 2 is the one that you should get because it's 4 players. But I remember I just couldn't get too far in Skies of Arcadia just because the Dreamcast is so loud and the load times are so bad. Like I don't know how it compares to the Dreamcast version Legends in that regard.
I don't know when the last time I played this was, but yeah,
it's one of those games I've always really wanted to get into. It just looks so awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool game.
Yeah, I had another gem in mind, but you mentioned Harvest Moon and it completely fled my brain. And now I don't remember what it was going to be. But Katie, did you have another one potentially?
You know what? I did. A little bit. I did. I'm also trying to jog my memory. Oh my god! It just popped out of my head.
Okay,
you know what?
Yeah.
I do. It was one of the Tales games. Tales of
Symphonia?
Symphonia.
Yeah, that's a fun
Tales
game.
of Symphonia. That game, that was a really, really cool game. It was probably one of the first like true JRPGs that I really like, I guess, recognized as a JRPG. I don't know. But I think the one thing that I remember the most was that I remember it was on 2 discs. Like, I remember the game was so massive, and I definitely didn't finish it. I did not get anywhere near the end. But I know I got onto the 2nd disc at one point, but like I don't remember. Yeah, like see, I cannot remember the end of that game to save my life if I even got there. But I just remember the art style was really cool, and like it was the first like I was like, oh my god, it's anime in a video game. I don't know why that was like the thought in my head. I don't ask me why, but it was just like one of those. It was again one of those like experiences growing up that I remember like, wow, I played this game. I don't remember playing this game, but I did. It was just I don't know. It's one of those like I don't know if that makes any sense. If what I just said made sense, but
nothing does make sense
for sure. I really liked that you could play the battles multiplayer in Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah, that
was the other part. Was that like it was like that. It wasn't like turn-based. It was more like action RPG, I guess is the right.
Yeah, I get like it was turn-based, but you could move your guy around.
Yeah, you could like run around
between
and like
your turn.
Yeah, I think it was like more like
cool.
active time battle, like more equivalent to that, but you could have positioning and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's
My boyfriend just actually recently, I say recent, like I know what year it is. This was probably like last year.
Yeah.
but he went through the Tales games, and I remember him playing that and like almost every single day for a month. Me being like, "Oh, what you playing now?" He's like, "Still Tales of Symphonia." For like a month straight, and I'm just like, "What about now?" He's like, "Nope, still this one." He's like, "I bought the next one, but still Symphonia."
Oh my gosh.
I remember Symphonia had a sequel specific to it.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I think
right,
it was on the Wii.
Yeah.
What it's called, yeah.
You're right, because I remember like seeing it and I was like, man, I should pick that up. I really like Symphonia, and then I never.
Is Vesperia the later one or the earlier one?
I know there's Tales of Berseria, Tales of Vesperia.
There's
Tales
a lot of
there's many of it, but yeah, like Berseria and Vesperia I think are like the later or like the more recent ones.
There's Tales of something that begins with a Z for PlayStation 4. We just got traded in the store. I don't remember.
There's a lot just came out.
Yeah, you're right.
Too.
There's a
lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
He decided one day, he's like, I'm gonna play the Tales games. I was like, good luck. And he's just like, years later, I'm still playing the Tales games.
Yeah. Well, now I remember what I wanted to bring up before. So this might be cheating a little. Well, I guess it's not, because we're talking about like a bunch of games that have been remade for the GameCube. But Alien Hominid was awesome on the GameCube. It was originally on Newgrounds, but the GameCube version expanded, like made it like look like made it into a real game. Essentially, you could play it multiplayer, and they added like this like little side-scrolling like platformer like level. Like side game, but you could make your own levels, and it was so great. My friend and I used to play it all the time, and it's like we'd boot up the game and not even play Alien Hominid and just play the PDA games. I can't remember what they're called. It might have been.
I remember Alien Hominid.
Alien Hominid's great. The Behemoth, the developer of it, went on to make Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater, and everything they make is awesome and so full of charm, and I love them. But it started for me with Alien Hominid.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But yeah, so
back when Newgrounds was big.
Yeah, I remember playing it in Newgrounds and being really excited when they had it on GameCube, because I really liked it on Newgrounds. But it was short.
Yeah, same. Cool.
But yeah, unless you guys got any closing thoughts on the old GameCube. I think it was
it has a handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
does have a handle.
Yeah, did you guys ever bring it over? Do you ever bring it over anyone's house? Because like Mario Kart, you could do land stuff.
Like all the time, yeah. I brought mine everywhere.
I don't think I ever brought mine to anybody's house, just because most of my friends also had one.
That was the same boat.
So we would chuck the memory cards in everybody's systems and call it a day. I remember I had a friend really excited about the wireless controllers for that.
Oh, the Wavebirds.
I still have 2 pairs. Yep.
Yeah.
I have 2. They are being held together by duct tape, but they exist.
As long as they work.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say
those are bricks too.
Well, the Wavebird is probably nothing. It was the first wireless controller that was kind of worth a damn. Like,
yeah,
because they'd have ones before that were like remote controller technology. Like you had to line them up exactly.
I remember going to my friend's house and he plugged it in and we were playing Smash and he's like, watch this, and he runs down the stairs, goes outside, then standing downstairs playing, and I was like, of course, kicking his butt because he can't see the screen. I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool down there, like pretty neat. He's like, am I moving? I was like, yeah, you're still moving.
Man, I thought that story was going to end with him just dominating you outside of the house.
Exactly.
Like he set up an elaborate series of mirrors ahead of time so he could see the screen.
Right.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
But I think and people still love that controller. It's like the the definitive Smash Brothers controller. They have to keep figuring out ways to put it into consoles so people can stop talking about it with Smash Brothers.
Yep. I love that controller.
Yeah. I think I don't want to credit just with GameCube's. PlayStation 2 was also one of its competitors, but like that was really the era where like I think modern gaming kind of became more what we know it as now.
Sure.
Just in like the general multiplayer focus. That's also when Xbox came out, when you could start playing games online. Yeah. I know you could do it with the Dreamcast, but that's when it became more of like a defining feature for consoles moving forward, especially the generation after this.
Became like the selling point. Like that's when, Call of Duty and like multiplayer shooters and stuff started getting bigger.
Because I remember playing Call of Duty on GameCube with my brother back when it was just World War II series. But yeah, GameCube was a really, really fun system. I know it underperformed at the time. Because I remember people were like speculating at times like, oh, this is the end of Nintendo. They have this weird that doesn't play DVDs. It's got this weird.
I remember that.
Yeah,
tiny discs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. They're so tiny.
But like I've always loved the GameCube. I've always had fond memories of it. Everyone I know that had it loves it. Like there's so many games we didn't even talk about. We didn't bring up any of the Pokemon games. We didn't mention Chibi Robo or Custom Robo or anything else with Robo in the title. Like there's games like we used to play the Ninja Turtles games. Which weren't great, but they were fun,
Yeah, there were just like a ton of solid games all around. Like
they had a lot of weird movie games on there that were actually pretty good. I remember I loved all the Harry Potter games on the GameCube.
Yeah, they were all really good. Like really good.
The SpongeBob games are very fondly remembered. They just made one of them for some reason.
What is it? Battle for Bikini Bottom?
Yeah.
Yep.
Which
oh my gosh, yes.
Those games because I was never into SpongeBob, but like I mean that's cool and random that's still around,
Yeah. I love that that's still a thing. There's just something about it that's so cool. I don't know why.
But yeah, I like I said, GameCube was just a really interestingly designed thing. We didn't even talk about how you could screw in the bottom part and play Game Boy Advance games on it.
The Game Boy Player.
Yeah.
I use that all the time.
I wish I had one, but I didn't.
I'm looking at my Game Boy Player right now.
Looking ever so lovingly at it. Yeah. I don't know.
I should really hook that up.
Yeah.
It's such I was one of those, I don't know about you guys. I was one of those kids that I had to have I liked Nintendo because of how innovative they were. So stuff like the Game Boy, I mean I know that Super Game Boy already had existed, but the Game Boy Player, when that came out, I was forget it. Life was made for me. I was yes, I can play Game Boy games on my big screen TV. I was all about it. That's all I ever wanted.
Well, I think that sort of thing does push consoles to even and I know there's a lot of stuff that hasn't worked for pretty much everything out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you feel very fondly about that.
Sure. And
Like-
other people are probably like, okay.
Hey, I'm sure somebody loves the Virtual Boy,
Hey,
Yeah. I'm
teach
not saying
their
I
own.
wouldn't put one on my shelf if I had the opportunity to have one. But
Oh my God.
as
I would jump.
someone who's played the Virtual Boy back when it was new, and as an adult coming into the store, I'm like, man, this thing sucks. It was bad. But I don't know. I think that effect just never worked properly for me in my stupid eyes. But yeah, anyway, I think we're gonna wrap up this episode a little bit. Thank you guys for coming out so much. I know off camera Morgan's been wanting to do a GameCube episode, so it just happened to have a free week. I was like, hey, let's do this. And I wanted to reach out to some of our other friends that haven't been on as much, or I specifically know have had GameCube experiences with, and of course, like every week when we do this, it's a lot of fun talking to you guys about whatever the topic of the week is. Speaking of, if you're listening to this as it's come out, I'm going to be taking the next couple of weeks off just for Thanksgiving and the holidays. I will have some special audio presentations for you. Next week, we're going to be doing what I consider to be episode 0 of the podcast. For Free Comic Book Day Online, we recorded a cartoonist roundtable is what I called it, featuring Sean Finneran, Ari Moreau, and Kendall's wife, Kayla. So I'll be up, and then after that, I'll have our live game, the tabletop game that we did called Dadlands, which also featured Kendall in it. Special audio promotion.
Starring Kendall.
Version of that. I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, I'm going to have him on for 3 weeks, or someone related to him for at least 3 weeks in a row, almost. But after that, we're going to come back. We're going to be talking Star Trek because every time I want to do one of these episodes, my first instinct is like, how can I do a Star Trek episode? So we'll be talking about that soon. Thank you guys so much for joining us, both as guests for talking to me about these things, and listeners and viewers for listening and viewing this. So until next time, be safe out there.